My name is Mikaela and I'm an avid runner and physiotherapist. Today I'm going to lead you through an example of a warm-up and cool-down that you can use before and after a run, a workout, or even a race. So lace up your shoes, head outside, and let's get started. So the purpose of our warm-up is to warm up our body temperature, to move our muscles and joints in the ways that they're going to be used during the activity, and to work on any form or technique, especially cues that have been given to you by a healthcare professional or a coach with regards to your running form. We're going to start with a series of 4 marches from A to D. So the A march, we're going to work on driving up with the knee, keeping the core engaged, so we're thinking about the ribs connected to the front of our hips and we're standing up tall. Alternating sides, we're going to start with a walking variation. So focusing on that knee drive up, being active through the feet, nice tall upright posture, doing about 10 steps, and then on the way back you can stay with that same variation or you can add a little bit of a bounce to your step just to warm up a bit more through the calves. The next march is to do a B march. So it's going to start with that knee drive, but then you're going to kick the foot out and sweep it down. So alternating sides, it's up with the knee, kick, and sweep. So we're going to start with the walking variation first. Again, thinking about that nice tall upright posture, letting the arms alternate opposite to the legs. And you can stay with that same variation on the way back, or you can add a little bit of a hop step. Again, thinking about being nice and tall through the upper body, really warming up through the hips and knees and the ankles. Our next march is a C march. So we're going to work on bringing our heel up towards our bum. We're going to alternate sides, walking first. Thinking about staying tall through the front of the body, lengthening through the front of the thigh. And then on the way back, speeding up the step rate and trying to fit as many steps into the same space as you can. So driving with the arms, short little quick steps. And our last one is a D march. So really pushing off through the back leg to propel ourselves forward. So push with a soft landing forward. Really pushing through the calf, feeling work in the calf as well as the glute. Performing continuous repetitions on one side. And then switching to the other side. And again, really focusing on pushing off through that back foot, soft landing with the front leg. So all the power is coming from the back leg. And lastly, to warm up through the outer hips, we're going to do a little bit of karaoke steps. So we're going to focus on bringing the knee up and over, coming high, and then low behind. So high, behind. And then switching sides on the way back. If you're nice and warm and ready to go on your run, have fun. You can also repeat any of those same movements again if you feel you need to before you start. Welcome back from your run. Now I'm going to guide you through a cool down so you can see head to head the difference between a warm up and a cool down variation. So in our cool down, we're working on bringing our heart rate back down to its resting level, also doing a little bit of joint mobility as well as stretching. So in the cool down, we tend to hold our stretches for a little bit longer, bringing the muscles back through leg. So our first variation that we're going to do is we're going to do an A march, so the same one as the warm-up, and I like to do the walking variation just to again work on that form and technique, especially if we're a little bit fatigued from our run or workout. This is a nice way to work on our form when we're a little bit fatigued. That's usually where our form really starts to deteriorate, is the longer into our run or race. And I'm going to alternate by doing a hamstring sweep, coming back. So just putting the heel down on the ground, letting my arms sway down towards the ground, feeling a pretty short stretch through the hamstring just with each step. And then just thinking about our upper body as well. So after spending a lot of time in the same position, is just doing a little bit of gentle upper body motion, cross and open, cross and open. And then you can also do a little bit of backward circles as well. Making our way over to a step or a bench. So here we're gonna go through a few extra stretches. So we're gonna come through a hamstring stretch, a quad stretch, inner thigh, and our calf as well. So on a nice low height is just bring one foot up onto the step with the toes pointing up so the heel is down. And the back, this leg should be straight, not coming into extra straight or hyper extension, but just having a little bit of activity in the front of the leg to keep that 0-degree angle. And then to find our hamstring stretch, we're just gonna bow our chest forward and feel that tension come on in the back of our leg. And then we're just gonna rest our hands on the front of our thigh, keeping our chest up and holding that low to moderate intensity stretch. And when we're doing these longer holds, sometimes it feels nice just to let off a little bit, so decrease that intensity of the stretch and then come back up to that point of resistance. Remembering to breathe nice and deeply through these stretches, not holding your breath and not pushing to that super high intensity stretch that makes it hard to get through the longer duration. Bringing the chest up, little knee bend, and then step down. And then we're gonna come just into a wide stance through our legs to get that inner thigh stretch. And with the hands on the hips, is just alternate sinking into a one-sided squat, side to side, just until you find a little bit of stretch through the inner thigh. And especially after doing a hamstring stretch, it's nice to move through a little bit of mobility with the inner thigh. Coming up when you're ready, and then switching to a quad stretch. So holding onto something for balance if you need to, holding onto the front of the ankle rather than the foot to bring the heel up towards the bum. And what's really important here is that the knee is not coming forward, so we're not flexed at the hip. We want the knee to point straight down. We also want to push the front of that hip forward until we feel a stretch in the front of the thigh. And again, holding this stretch for 15 to 30 seconds. Sometimes it feels nice just to let off the tension a little bit and then come back into that stretch again. Also important here just for the lower back that we're not letting our ribs flare. So think about the core being active just a little bit to keep the ribs connected to the front of the hips, and then you shouldn't feel any pain in your lower back. And finally, we'll go through a calf stretch. So for a calf stretch, having just a surface in front of you or even a wall, we're gonna find a stride stance, so 1 foot back and feet hip distance apart, pointing forward. For our first variation, we're gonna be straight through the back knee. So we're gonna lean forward into our front hip, keeping the back heel down until we feel a stretch through the back of the calf. Hips are also pointing forward here as well, so we're not twisting through our upper body. And then the variation here is to bring a little bit of a bend into the knee, so sometimes it's helpful to shorten the stride. So still keeping the back heel down, but now I have a bend in the back knee. And you might feel the stretch move a little deeper or a little lower down the calf. Side. I always like to do a few stretches before I head into the house, so at least I've done a couple things after a run or a workout, so feel free to use these as examples. Feel free to stretch a little bit more when you get inside, either on a yoga mat or with some floor stretches down on the ground. And make sure to contact a health professional if you have any specific questions for your individual training. Happy running.